We're down in Chapel Hill. It's officially the Bill Belichick era. Can all that NFL experience translate to the college ranks? Well, one thing is for sure. The anticipation is real, and North Carolina has the tools to exceed expectations this upcoming season. For much more, though, on what to expect, let's go ahead and welcome back to the program Richard Johnson. Richard, great to see you. Let's go ahead and start with the footsteps that Coach Belichick is following in. Similar to the legend Bill Walsh did, goes from coaching in the big leagues to the college ranks. How do you think he will fare, and what do you think really will be the biggest challenge for him?
To be honest with you, Jordan, I think what we need to keep in mind is there's a reason Mac Brown isn't in the North Carolina job, because they weren't that good. There's also a reason Bill Belichick is in this job. It's because no NFL team wanted to hire him, and the Patriots haven't been that good, especially since Tom Brady left. The roster that Bill Belichick left Gerard Mayo is the reason why Gerard Mayo isn't in the Patriots job either. So the Bill Belichick that UNC is getting, my question is, what version are you getting? You're not getting the early 2000s version that pushed the Patriots to a dynasty. You're getting this late stage Bill Belichick. And look, Bill Belichick's forgotten more about coaching than I will ever know, forgotten more about football than I will ever know. But it does need to be asked what Bill Belichick, UNC, is really getting as a college football coach, especially in this era of college football. I think a lot of people think, well, he's at the controls of the entire roster. Their GM, Mike Lombardi, as I understand it, is the person who really handles the roster and who really handles dealing with the transfer portal and dealing with the rev share salary cap and all that sort of stuff. So it does free Bill up more to coach a lot, but I'm just interested in how this is all going to work.
You know, I want to ask you, in terms of challenges, do you think that there is going to have to be a continuous reminder to Coach Belichick that these are still kids who are learning different positions, different plays, different playbooks, and a lot will have to be taught rather than maybe expected? Because that's probably the biggest difference, I would have to say, when it comes to the NFL and the college ranks.
Yeah, I think Belichick's strength, particularly as a defensive coach, was having a bespoke game plan from week to week to beat whatever an opponent would throw at them. And honestly, his longevity in the job was so huge for the Patriots because they could go back 10 years and say, hey, we ran this coverage one time on 3rd and 5. Our opponent's definitely never seen it on film, but we remember it. Let's put it in. I mean, that's basically what they did with the famous Malcolm Butler play against the Seahawks in the Super Bowl that won them that championship. So he's not going to have that longevity. He's not going to have that bank of knowledge with this team. He's also, frankly, dealing with college kids who have a lot more to deal with than just being able to do all football all the time. So what type of defensive system will he run? Is he going to have to run something that's more of the same week to week, or can he have kind of a chameleon effect and change what they're running from week to week to match up against their opponents like he did in the NFL?
And how about monitoring how they're doing in the classroom? That's another thing for you. It's going to be fun to watch and pretty cool for these young kids to learn from one of the great head coaches in the entire sport. Even cooler if you're a quarterback, knowing that the magic that Bill Belichick created with, of course, Tom Brady. Looking at this quarterback room in Chapel Hill, though, it was clear that there was going to be a competition when Bill Belichick brought in South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez in that spring portal window. They also have redshirt senior Max Johnson, true freshman Bryce Baker, as well as some options at the position. Who's the clear favorite, though, in your opinion?
I don't know that there is one right now, Jordan, because Ryan Brown left to go back to Purdue. He was also in this quarterback room this spring. Bring in Gio Lopez. We don't know what you're going to get from Max Johnson. Johnson went down with an injury in the first game last season, so he didn't even play for the Tar Heels, more or less. So it is really a mixed bag at quarterback for UNC. We'll have to see as training camp presses on here in August who is able to grab that job.
Belichick wasn't afraid of his first grown around with the transfer portal as the Tar Heels picked up some notable additions on really both sides of the ball. Let's go ahead and start with just how much better this O-line got this offseason, Richard.
Well, it's got to be, because the best friend of a quarterback, obviously, is an offensive line that you can count on. Will Osteen comes in from Jack State. Jack State was a really intriguing G5 team last year. Salty up front, really ran the ball very well. So Osteen should be able to give them a gear up front. And Ja'Kai Moore also is an intriguing lineman who comes in from South Carolina. For me, they've got to get this 5 situated in front of a quarterback, because if you've got a quarterback who potentially is young or potentially hasn't even played at a high level, he better know how his protection is going to line up in front of him. Because if you've got bullets flying for a quarterback who's a little wet behind the ears, it's going to be a bad time for everybody.
How about this D-line? We'll go ahead and throw up some of the names that are joining this Tar Heels team. They got some big talent from Penn State, Florida, Arizona. What's your expectations for some of these guys?
Well, Jordan, I also want to talk about who's not in this defensive line room. Travis Shaw and Levon Johnson, both of them are at Texas. And those are interior linemen that UNC would love to have. If you think about the Patriots' great defense, you think about a Vince Wilfork, a Richard Seymour. They were so good on the interior where the Patriots in Belichick's heyday there. You've got to be good up the middle as a defensive line to be able to be truly great. So how UNC does that with what they don't have up front in the defensive interior is going to be fascinating to me.
Now, in terms of position, skill position players, rather, on offense, who are some of the big names we should know?
Well, for me, running back Caleb Hood, I think, is a player who could have a breakout for UNC. Is he a player that they count on? We'll see. We'll see how UNC performs with their skill players. To me, though, it's about the trenches. Because if they're not able to figure it out up front, it doesn't matter who you have on the edge. It doesn't matter who you have out wide. To me, I just think there's so many unknowns with the quarterback situation and the offensive line situation that I don't know if those skill players are going to be able to shine, at least early in the season.
That's fair. That's very fair. Now, lastly here, just looking at this schedule, it's quite favorable. What should our realistic expectations be for head coach Bill Belichick in year one?
Frankly, I think you can have them decently high. I think an 8-4 is in the cards here. This schedule's pretty easy, to be honest with you. There's no reason why they shouldn't be at least 3-1 and possibly 4-0 coming out of September before the big one against Clemson, as you see there on your screen on October 4th. At the end of the day, though, no UNC team recently has been able to really get the better of NC State consistently. It doesn't matter what they have. And I know that is something that folks in the building in Raleigh take an immense amount of pride about, to be able to beat their in-state rivals in Chapel Hill. So I think that schedule sets up pretty favorably for Belichick in year one, despite the deficiencies that I may think exist on that team.
All right, should be a good first year for head coach Bill Belichick and company. Richard Johnson, always great to see you. Incredible insight. As always, you can get some more college football talk on Bill Belichick, UNC football, and so much more on the Cover 3 podcast. All you got to do is scan that QR code on your screen and watch and listen wherever you get your podcasts.